Nick and Sharron share a kiss, finally, and we see Victor in his crazy slow-mo fall down the steps after JT and his week of complete ridiculousness that I think we can all say and agree that he deserves to be hit by a bus after the way he treated Victoria. Stay tuned for this week's Restless Wrap.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Goodman. We have had a crazy week, and I know I say that every single week, but this one in particular, I cannot believe that we saw everything with JT happening the way that it was happening. I'm gonna say that right off the bat because, okay, shout out to, well, let me just say this. The actress who plays Victoria, amazing acting, and just the fact that they are spotlighting domestic abuse. I was really excited that they were doing that this week and that they showed it in a really tragically realistic way. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started this week. I just want to give a shout out to the people that we have in the chat, my co-hosts who join every week. We have Tiffany, we have Angel Young, we have Hubby Joe, Maxwell Comics, we have Aaron Brody, we have, let's see, Sarah B Videos, and we have Miss Bubbles and Rodelli DeMille. So I'll be reading comments live in the chat. Also, for anyone who wants to call in, let's go ahead and get that. Let me go ahead and give you guys that number. It is, let's see. It's 424-253-0749. So for anyone who's watching live right now, go ahead and call, if you want to call and talk on the show, 424-253-0749. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we had on the @RestlessWrap Facebook page, we had a comment from Tiffany. And by the way, shout out to Tiffany and her friend Sarah. They did the blindfolded makeup challenge just the way that we were watching a couple weeks ago. So shout out to them. But Tiffany's comment on the Facebook page is, basically, my takeaway for the week is that JT needs to join in on Hillary's getting hit by a bus storyline. I'm so over his character. Please, dear Lord, don't let Victoria be one of those victims of marital abuse who stays with it after he hurts her, because he won't do it again. He will do it again, and she will end up dead. So, that being said, let's start with something a little lighter, and then we'll get into JT and everything that he did this week, because, yeah, I have a lot to say on that, and I'm sure that anyone who calls in will have a lot to say. So, oh, we have a caller on the line. This is Rachel with Restless Wrap. Who do we have on the line?
Hey, Rachel, it's Tiffany.
Hey, Tiffany. So we were going to talk about something lighter, but let's jump in and talk a bit about JT, because I'm sure that you have things to say about this too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, okay. What did you think about, okay, so obviously as we were watching this, I didn't expect that JT was going to actually strangle her. And I hated the fact that she was saying that she slapped him first, because when I was watching that, it didn't happen like that at all. It was more like he was grabbing her and she pushed him to get him away, and then he strangled her. So what did you think of that whole entire scene and the abuse and everything that happened to Victoria?
Yeah, you know what? It's I said last week that JT seriously needed a redemption arc for me to even think about liking him, and at this point it's like that is out the window. There is absolutely no chance of him coming back from this for me personally, and I feel like a lot of people, even people who have been watching for a long time, something like this you are not going to come back from, even if, you know, things do get better. But I don't know if it was here or somewhere else where we were actually talking about how we were worried that it would turn physical eventually, because the abuse between JT and Victoria, it's been going on for a couple of days now.
Yeah. And it started, like, it was
verbal abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, because it did start verbal. It started with him just getting angry and then calming down, and Victoria saying, well, it won't happen again, right? And that's kind of, I mean, it was still horrible, but at least it wasn't physical, and at least, okay, fine. Maybe there are pills or something that he's taking. Because remember, they were like showing that that flashback to when he got struck by lightning or something, and now he has heart condition. So I could probably be okay with chalking it up to that a little bit, to a certain extent, but not the physical abuse. That's beyond. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is I know that's been kind of the excuse everybody's kind of been lending JT lately, is that, you know, these pills are supposedly giving him these mood swings, and maybe that had something to do with it, but I feel like it just crossed a line this week that it's just like, it's not, you know, nobody's willing to give him that excuse anymore, I don't feel.
Yeah, and the problem is too, like I was watching this, like when JT came back, so after we have the whole thing where he strangles her and she goes up and it just, you know, it's so sad watching her. She was in shock, and it was just so realistic and sad. It was, I think, one of my one of the best performances I've seen on the show was how she was handling this. It felt so real. And after all of that, when JT finally calms down, okay, what he did was unforgivable. What he did was enough to say, okay, you need to go, get out of my life. But his apology to her, if it was just mood swings, he would have been apologizing much more deeply than the way that he was. His apology was even more abusive, I thought.
Yeah. I've recently started listening to a podcast that comes on earlier on Sundays, and she had mentioned how JT didn't even like fully apologize, like you said, like how he said that she had slapped him first. Like, in her mind, he's got her believing that she started it and that whatever happened to her afterwards is her fault. So, you know, logically, she apologized to JT for what she had, quote unquote, done, but he never flat out said, I'm sorry I, you know, choked you.
He didn't.
He's just like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, and he even said something along the lines of, well, you did kind of start it. Like, he kind of went along with that, and he basically played it off like, oh, well, we both did things. No, JT, what you did was abusive, and he crossed the line. It doesn't matter. Like, first of all, she didn't, if she slapped him, it was his, like, wrist or something, or his body, because he was holding her. So he was being abusive and forceful first. But even if she had slapped him, a slap is a lot different than strangling someone.
Yeah, you know what, though? I mean, at the end of the day, with this whole abuse storyline, like, my mindset with it right now is that I understand that it's a serious topic, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and I really hope they address it in a way that shows Victoria being smart enough to get out of this relationship before it gets too serious. You know what I mean?
Like, I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
I don't want her to stay in this relationship and end up dead at the end of it, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's not Victoria to me. Like, I know I haven't been watching as long as some people have, but to me, that is not Victoria.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, what you're saying is completely true, and I agree with it. It's interesting, though, too, how a really strong woman can continue to let this happen just because she is so in love with someone. And it's interesting, too, that even after, so the person is abusive, when they calm down, it feels like she's seeing him the way that she saw him before, because he still looks like the same man that she fell in love with. So I understand what she's going through, but I agree with you. I think that at the end of the day, I would love to see her stand up for herself and push him away, because you're right, the Victoria that we know, she would be able to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of glad that, you know, at least in some retrospect, what JT did was not unseen. You know, Victor saw what he did, and I was just hoping and praying that Victor would confront him about it, and he did, which was just at least something.
Yeah, exactly. And that was interesting too. But yeah, so thank you so much for calling in. It was definitely interesting talking to you about JT and everything that happened. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about the situation?
I don't think so at this point. Like I said, I'm really hoping that it ends well. I don't know. At the end of this all, I just kind of want JT to leave. Like I said in the chat, I just kind of want him to join Hillary in that whole being hit by a bus thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, get him out of the way.
So if we can make that happen, YNR, that'd be great.
Yeah, get him away. But, yeah.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for calling in, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you for letting me rant.
Oh, yeah, of course. Bye, Tiffany.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so let's touch a little bit more on JT, and then after that, we'll go ahead and move on to a lighter topic. We do have some... thanks for calling after the Restless Rep AfterBuzz show. This is Rachel. Who do we have on the line?
Hey, Rachel. It's Mel calling from New York City.
Hey, Jamil. How are you?
Doing good.
So I was talking to Tiffany about JT, so we touched on a lot of that. Where I was kind of going to go from there is maybe touching on everything that's happening with kind of the other storyline where JT was kind of going into his safe and got this key. What did you think about all of that leading up to what happened with Victor?
Wow. You know what?
I
think that this week the writers, or, I don't know, the powers that be or something, they must have been watching some HBO or some Netflix because,
yeah.
I mean, right? Because it was, as you see, I'm not going to say it was like the same level of that. I mean, this is daytime. Daytime is fantastic. But I'm just thinking, even the way, I'll go to the end of the week because I want to go back a little bit, but the way that Victor fell down, if anybody watched House of Cards, it reminded me of that. That's why I said Netflix, because it was, okay, thank you. So it was a scene, well, I don't want to spoil House of Cards, but there's definitely a big scene in that show where somebody falls, and, it's pretty crazy. And when they were fighting and he fell, and they used some different, green screen or some kind of different technology, to have him fall, because that fight, it was pretty intense, but it was also funny because I guess the actor, Mr. Eric Brayton, is, of age. So there was some parts where we can visually see that he was swapped out for the stunt double to do some of the things with the guy who played JT. So it was something else, that fight. But then when he was falling, it went in slow motion, it looked very computer generated or whatever. So it felt like House of Cards a little bit. So it was, I wasn't prepared for this week. And then Deena, well, that's a whole other issue. But anyway,
yeah. Well, so here's the thing with that slow-mo scene.
This good show, it was a lot. It was a lot. I don't know what they did. It felt like this week we got love, we got shocks, we got controversy, we got so much stuff happening a week. And I think they're just trying to set it up for people. Because you know what? And I will say this. It was so much, but I want to just touch on what Deena, what she said, if it's true, I could see, because Billy has been so quiet for so long, I could see what Jack had did, Ashley, coming back to bite him, and then Billy having another storyline, and maybe him and Phyllis being a power couple and doing things, and maybe something to do with Victoria, so that's something. But I want to stick to, it's just too much to talk about, but Victoria and JT. Victoria, for me, right now, for the past year, something, I think the way she has dealt with Kane, and specifically, and everything that happened with Kane and the sexual harassment and everything like that, I don't like the character. I'm sorry, I don't. Now, because I don't like the character, there's, like you said, no woman or man or child or anybody, nobody who's vulnerable, let's put it that way, in a power position, whether you're smaller or something, should not be preyed upon with somebody who's more powerful than them physically. No human being should have that, not even an animal. Nobody should get that, no matter what kind of person or being they are. And because I don't like Victoria, but I thought it was very uncomfortable. And I like JT. He's the father of a couple of kids on the campus, and some of them that's not even there. So I'm not sure what they're doing with the character.
Yeah.
But they've done this before with, even Adam. I mean, I'm not sure how long you watched it. Victor's son was dubious, and he did a lot of crazy things. I mean, he pushed Ashley down the stairs, and he deliberately killed her baby because he just simply hated his father. So
wow.
he does. Yeah, oh yeah. If you if you use YouTube, you'll see Victor's son did some dastardly things, and Victor done some pretty crazy things too. So these guys are gonna go full blown, but right now, what JT did, with Victoria, it was pretty crazy. I think that for me, he was winning the argument between the two of them of who was the worst, because I would just give it to Victoria hands down. She's shady, she's messy, she's a lot of things, and I think that, quite frankly, he shouldn't be in a relationship with her, and I think, they should be together. They have been emotionally punching each other for months or weeks, whatever. They go low blows. There's just a lot of stuff happened, and they use sex, and then it happens. So when it went to Valentine's this week, I didn't see it coming. I just thought they were just going to break up. So for me, he was winning everything as far as their interactions until he put his hand on her, and you were right. She was defending herself, clawing at him almost, but she was so shocked, when his hand went on her neck, and that's when she started to attack him, basically to fend him off. But so he lost everything. He lost so much this week, and I'm not sure if it's, I'm not sure how easy it's going to be for him to get it back.
Well,
it's pretty.
The problem is that I'm just shocked. Okay, so I understand Victoria is in shock after this. I am very understanding about that. But the problem for me is that he asked her to marry him, and she said yes, almost right after. And I don't understand. Like, I do understand, but I don't understand at the same time. And it's just hard. It's very hard to watch. And I want to see this resolved. What I didn't expect is that everything was going to happen like that with Victor, where Victor, we know how they were showing the black and white camera. I didn't realize, I wasn't sure if it was a security camera or if it was just the way that they were shooting it with the film to kind of make it look like we were seeing a different angle. So when we had that reveal at the end where Victor knew that this had been done, so I usually don't like Victor, but in this particular case, I was all for Victor, and this whole fight, the only thing was I wasn't sure if Victor was going to do it for, it almost felt like he was playing it as a business, like a blackmail thing, instead of actually caring about his daughter. But however, as the scene progressed, it definitely changed, and I kind of realized that, okay, Victor just wasn't showing him how much it was hurting him, because Victor doesn't play it that way. Victor plays it very cool and collected. So, but it was very obvious once they started getting into that fight that wasn't so cool and collected that Victor was just really pissed off because of,
Yeah. Victor, I can't cuss, but Victor wiped the floor with that boy. I mean, that man got to be 80 years old. Although they keep swapping out stunt doubles, But the character Victor wiped the floor. He basically had no recourse but to push the old man downstairs. He had nothing else to do. He's about to wipe the floor with JT. He's going to get them together. And that man, he had nothing else to do but to push him downstairs just to get him off of him. And I think that what's going to happen is that with Jack being so triggered, I don't know. It just felt like what happened is with the writers, I'm just so focused on them. What they did was they were sort of meandering a little bit. It felt like they took it from 30 miles an hour to like 110 miles an hour. Every single storyline is going full tilt. We see Lily going more. She's so laser focused on not liking Hillary. That's going full steam ahead. Nick and Sharron full steam. And I don't know what's going on, but everything is just going so strong. But right now, the top one that's so emotional and controversial is definitely Victoria. And I think that the actors, Victor and Victoria and JT are doing fantastic. Because people are talking about it. I'm so happy for you because, on other programs tonight, people were saying, oh, my God, everybody have to watch, I'm so happy you're tuned into our little soap show, but you watch, this show you're hosting now because it's so crazy. And why not? Everybody on different programs who watch soaps are saying that why not? It's beyond crazy right now. And it's really true. So I'm so happy that you have, you hosted, one of the show that people are talking about right now, this script this week. It's the best thing in daytime right now, but they doing on Young And The Restless.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in and, always calling in with, your perspective on all of this. It's very interesting. But thank you, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll see what happens with JT, too.
I know. JT and them is big, but it's so much going on. I can't wait to you sort of, unpackage all the other things. we could be on the phone for 3 hours.
Oh yeah, this week.
Too much this week, but yeah, it's great. But I'll call next week, and again, congrats on sort of talking about a show that it seemed like everybody in soap community is talking about this week with Why Not. I mean, even if you're not Why Not, watch it, you're like, oh, domestic violence and this happened,
exactly.
And people are talking about it. So it's fantastic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
and I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Okay, so just to get into a little bit more with everything happening, not with the domestic abuse, but with everything with JT, it kind of just, it's pretty much JT is on this mission to kind of get more dirt on Victor. That's kind of like the other storyline that's happening. He is using every excuse to keep going back to the ranch. He ends up going into that chessboard. And it was kind of interesting because of, in the beginning of the week, as JT was kind of, trying to get in, Victor made the comment of, you should always stay 3 moves ahead of your opponent, which I thought was very powerful and very foreshadowing considering what happens in the end, where JT ends up going back to the ranch and he ends up using the key to try and get whatever it is that's inside of that chessboard, the one that we saw earlier. And then Victor is standing there in the doorway, clicks on the lights or flips on the light switch, and then they end up getting into this huge argument, not argument per se, but the tension is high. Victor reveals that he knows about Victoria and what JT did to her. Meanwhile, Victoria, she's already agreed to marry JT. She's waiting for him at home, so they kind of cut back and forth between that. But Victor, after he shows them the footage, Victor says, well, only a weak man would go after my daughter like that. I've got a solution for you. You pack your bags, you get out of town tonight, or I will remove you myself. And when Victor says that, you know that he's serious, because he will. Like, okay, obviously Victoria kind of hurt Victor a lot because of the fact that she lied to him about, trying to make it look like Ashley was going against the company and giving Jack those documents. Obviously, she hurt him, but Victoria will always be Victor's daughter. And so the problem is, it's more like it doesn't matter what Victoria has done to him. This is his daughter. He saw JT put hands on his daughter. He's going to do something about it. Now, as we were talking about earlier, they get into this fight. Victor goes down. There's this long slow-mo moment where he's falling like this with his hands. I almost put it as my law moment, even though, okay, the situation itself is not funny, but the way they did it I thought was hilarious. It is not part of my law moment. I didn't add it. I almost did. I did add it as like a separate category of a law moment, but when we get there, I'll read it again, or I'll talk about it again. But it's just kind of, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with that, because Victor, knowing the truth about Victoria, or about, JT and Victoria, he was going to rough up JT. There was no way JT was staying in that town. But now the question is Victor going to be in a coma? What is happening to Victor? I guess we'll have to find out next week. So let's read some of the comments, and then we'll move on and talk about a couple other things that happened this week. So we have... okay. Clicks Ambers, aka Tiffany, hit JT with a bus, then back over him. Maxwell Comics, I don't care about Jack's father at this point. Oh, that was another thing that we have to get to. Talk about them doing so much this week. We'll get to Deena in a second here. Aaron, Victoria definitely was scared to say no to his proposal. That could be true too. And I know, like, it doesn't sound very compassionate, that I wouldn't understand, because I do understand why Victoria would say yes. Because first of all, even if she wasn't scared, which she probably was, but even if she wasn't, just the idea that she's going to lose this man that she really loves, and they have this strong connection, this very, very, very strong connection. So how it's so hard for her, even though she's this strong businesswoman, it's kind of showing that it's hard for people. And the hardest abuse is the abuse that you get from people that you love, because you don't want to just push them away and let them go. You want them to stay in your life because you love that person. So it's very understandable that Victoria wouldn't want him to just leave. Plus, she probably is saying in her head, no, it's just one time, it won't happen again, which is never true, but almost always never true. But just the fact that she's dealing with this is one of the hardest things, I think, for people to deal with in general, because you don't want to just, like, it's hard for people to separate the person that the abuser becomes when they're being abusive compared with the person that they are when someone is in a relationship with that person and you're living your normal life and you're not in a fight. That's the hard part, and I think that's what they're showing very well with this whole situation, and it's very sad to watch, but it's unfortunately something that truthfully happens. I hope that Victoria can push JT away, but we're going to have to see what happens and where they go with that. I can see Billy trying to step up. Billy seems like he's very protective of her, so I could see him stepping up, especially now with Billy and Phyllis. I know that they are they're fine, but the whole thing with Phyllis and Nick and Billy checking out all those, he thought they were going to be female models, but then they were males. That was hilarious. But things like that just makes me think that maybe Billy is going to come back to Victoria, where where his deep connection is. So we'll find out more about that later. Maybe we'll see. Okay. So Maxwell Comics says Victor should have told Nick and had him there for backup so they could tag team JT. That's very true, but I think that Victor wasn't assuming. First of all, I think Victor knows his strength, and he probably realizes that he could take JT, so that's probably why Victor wasn't scared. Second of all, I wonder if Victor actually knew that JT was coming in that moment. If he did not know, then maybe Victor just happened to hear someone downstairs and just quickly, ran down there. I know Nick is just right across the street, or not across the street. I know Nick is on the ranch with Sharron, but in that moment, Victor probably wasn't thinking, oh, let me call Nick. He probably just decided, all right, I'm going to go down and deal with this guy because he is not going to find out about me. Something like that. Angel, this is about Ashley and Jack. Maybe Ashley really is an Abbott and Jack was the one who Deena slept with Brent. I don't know. That is interesting and could be very true. And who knows too, because unfortunately with the Alzheimer's with Deena, you don't know if maybe she's remembering things incorrectly. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I know she's in a very lucid moment right now though, so probably not. It probably is right, but Tiffany, I just want to give Victoria a hug and tell her it will be okay. Go live with Sharron, Victoria. She's always taking people in. This sounds about right. Aaron says Victor should have called Paul and the police to arrest JT. That's very true, except for the fact that JT is working with Paul, right? So unless that was a joke, but if it wasn't a joke, I don't know, because JT, I don't know that Paul would actually arrest JT. Tiffany, Paul and JT are working together. Okay, let's see. Tiffany, I would not want to be the one messing with Victor Newman's children. Angel, I think that we're talking about the slow-mo moment with Victor. It kind of reminded me of when Lily's mom, Drew, fell off the cliff. So apparently they do this a lot. Okay, so let's see. Simone, Victoria feels like she has no one left but him. Her father is mad at her. Nick has his own stuff. Nikki is busy getting busy. And Abby is against right now. So she thinks all she has is him. And that could be true too. Even Billy, they're not quite as friendly because Billy is the one who kind of warned her. I don't think Billy thought it would go this far. But Billy did kind of warn her, hey, you might not want to get back into a relationship with him. So we'll see. Okay, so let's talk about Deena. And then we'll kind of move on and talk about a couple of the other characters. So, okay, at the beginning of the week, we have Abby and Deena. They're still shooting this video together where basically she's still lucid and she's remembering her life, kind of as like a commemorative thing. Charlie's there helping. It was kind of touching when Deena was remembering this hailstorm on the day of her wedding and how rare it was. And Abby thinks that she wasn't remembering it correctly, but Charlie actually checks it on his phone and turns out she's right. So I guess they were kind of setting it up for later in the week when Deena does tell us about Jack, to show us that she does remember at certain times anyway, at least right now, she's remembering things so well that she can remember a hailstorm on her wedding. Okay, so we have another memory where Deena is remembering Jack and Ashley, and Ashley's there. She doesn't actually remember Ashley, the woman sitting in front of her, but she remembers her children. And Ashley, there's this whole story where basically Jack and Ashley weren't together. Jack had gone off to, I think, be with a friend. And when he came back, it was a surprise, and Ashley actually got to hang out with her brother. So Ashley starts crying. She's very emotional. Deena doesn't understand why Ashley's crying and why it's touching her so much. It almost, like, I understand what they're doing with it because Deena doesn't remember, but it almost seems the way that the actress is playing it, the actress playing Deena, it almost feels like she's being insensitive. Now, I know that could be the actual mental disorder that's causing her to act that way, but I don't know. It's very hard. Like, the thing is that sometimes I feel like I can't quite connect with Deena as a character, and that could be because of what she's going through, but it's just sometimes it feels like she is just not, like, even though she doesn't recognize Ashley, I'm wondering why she would have said it kind of like that. But eventually, near the end of the week, we have Deena filming one more video. And in this video, she ends up basically saying that Jack's father is not John Abbott. So the thing is, she could be confused, number one. She could be thinking of Ashley. Might not have been a lucid moment, or might not have been as lucid as what Ashley was thinking. So we just don't know right now. And then who is the real father of Jack? But I agree that why do we really care right now? Because it's just after all this. But however, Jack said he was going to change that, the statement on, who could actually run the company. So I kind of think that it wouldn't really matter anyway. So I'm kind of wondering why. But when Ashley finds out that he's not really an Abbott, I wonder how she's going to react to this. And then how the company, like, what's the fate of the company here? That's the real question, if there's even going to be a problem with the company. So, all right, we have a couple of more comments. Simone, Victor goes hard for his children. He can jerk them around, but no one else can. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Aaron Brody, Victor in a coma, typical daytime. Simone, Victoria feels like, okay, we read that one already. Okay, so Aaron, well, Ashley can't sue Victor now that he's in a coma. Maxwell Comics, Victor could take JT, obviously, not because he knocked him out. Yeah, I think so too. I think Victor knew that. Aaron, that slow motion when Victor fell was more laughable than scary. And that is, that's exactly how I felt. I made it its own law moment. Not part of the law moment, but it got, well, when we get there, I'll read it to you guys. We have a couple people who want to call in. Yeah, you guys can still call in. We still have a little bit of time. Again, that number, for anyone who's listening live, the number is 424-253-0749. Sometimes someone said it didn't go through. You could try a 1 in front of it, or maybe try calling using Skype. That might help. Okay, let's see. We have a couple of predictions. We'll get to that in a second. So, okay. So we talked about Deena. Let's talk about Hillary and Devon a little bit here too. So basically, with Hillary, she's still trying to, she and Devon had agreed last week that they were going to go ahead and take care of that artificial insemination and actually have the child together. They signed the paperwork, done deal. So they have an arrangement. This is what I don't like. Lily is all gung-ho about stopping it to the point where she called the doctor and canceled the appointment. Now, okay, Lily, she has been through a lot. I feel like it just feels like they needed to give her something to do that would be bad now that the Lily Kane storyline has been resolved. And I feel like it's one of those things where, why does Lily care so much? I get it, it's her brother, she doesn't like Hillary, but you can't, I feel like Lily, what they do sometimes with the characters like Lily is they're making her cause a problem when it's not her decision to make, and it's just, not something that I feel like Lily would do. Lily seems too nice. Hillary's the one that I think would go behind someone's back and cancel their appointment on them. Lily, I thought, was the nice one who wouldn't do something like that. Now, for everyone who's been watching a long time, if Lily has done things like that were bad, that were, purposely bad, feel free to comment and let me know, because then we can talk about that. But from what I've seen, thanks for calling Restless Rap. Sorry, this is Rachel. Who do we have on the line?
I'm actually I'm Maxwell in the chat.
Hey, Maxwell.
So, hi.
How are you?
Good. I just wanted to talk about the Devon and Lily thing.
Yeah. So what do you think about?
I think they're being a little silly that that they think they're just gonna miss a contract and they're not gonna hook up, but they're obviously gonna do that. And Lily, I don't know. And then Lily's also silly because Lily's like the rest of us, and she knows they're gonna get back together. So I don't know what all this silliness is about. Oh, we're gonna have a contract and we're not gonna get back together. Well, they're obviously gonna get back together.
Yeah, exactly. I agree too. I think they're definitely gonna get back together. And I just feel like it is silly because Lily shouldn't be that. He should not be doing that. That's what it feels like to me, is that they're forcing her character to do something bad to cause more drama because they need to have the problem there.
But I mean, I can understand what she wanted revenge, because that whole thing with like the tape coming out that she like sabotaged them with Juliet, like that just came out. That's still kind of fresh.
Yeah,
but
that's
true. You have to want to be like petty and do that, but no.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. So what do you think about near the end? It was like Lily and Kane basically teaming up. How do you think that's going to go well for their marriage or for the whole situation?
I mean, I feel like they think it's going to go well for their marriage, but it's really not, because whenever they start getting to because I've been watching the show for like a while with my mom, and what I know about Lily and Kane is that Lily and Kane always work best when they're minding their own business and just staying in their little house with their little family. Like that's when they shine, when they're really minding their own business. But when they start dipping and doing other people's business and start getting like low down and shady, like that's when they fall apart. Like last time, they started falling apart because Kane was getting low down and getting other people's business. So I think that's really going to mess up their marriage.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, because it seems like when they're good and they're just being, a normal family, it seems like they're fine and they love each other. But yeah, when they start doing bad things, it is not good for anyone. At least this time they're on the same page and they're not lying to each other. But you never know; this could start them down a really bad path. And then
I was just a little irked about the fact that Devon didn't even if Devon knew that Lily did, he still let her walk away thinking that she got away with it.
Yeah, I didn't like that
That's
either.
so little. So Hillary was just sitting there looking like the crazy villain as always.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens with that. I was a little irked about that too. Just the fact that even Devon, he looked like he definitely believed Hillary, but he didn't stand up for her at the same time. And I'm not the biggest Hillary fan. She's growing on me now that she's been nicer. And in this situation, I actually like Hillary much more than Lily.
More.
Yeah.
She's becoming a better person.
Yeah, she is. And
basically, I think Hillary stole Victoria's redemption arc, honestly.
Yeah. That's kind of what it sounds like and what it's really shaping up to be. I'm just so surprised. I mean, Lily, normally she seems like the good one. So
yeah, I was recently I was really rooting for Lily. She stood up to Victoria. She quit. She was going to start her modeling agency. She was doing great as always, and then now she has to go and get back in the dirt because we hadn't needed a storyline. So
yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, so did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to share on the show today? Before I call, were y'all talking about Jack and Ashley and stuff? Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, we can talk about that now because we didn't really get into them as much. So what did you think about everything going on with Jack and Ashley?
I think it's really funny. It's really funny because it's for the past couple of months it's been, Ashley isn't a real Abbott. Ashley can't be a part of the company because of the blood thing. But now it's going to be turned around on Jack. So it's his own amendment could be used against him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's kind of dumb to do it now because it's who else is going to run the company? Tracy doesn't want to run the company.
That's what we were, yeah. When I was watching this, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, Tracy wants to write. She's not going to stop. And here's the thing is that Jack was going to change it anyway so that it didn't, there was no clause. So I don't understand.
And then Abby's at Newman, and Abby's probably going to be I'm gonna want to stay at Newman's. I don't know like where it's gonna go, so it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting too. I don't think Ashley really liked the fact, like obviously she's gonna go back to Newman, but I don't think she really liked the terms that Victor was kind of giving her. So I don't know. I kind of feel like Ashley would probably go back.
Jack's actually about to go to jail because he's on his way to Victor's house. He's probably gonna find Victor, and they're probably gonna blame it on Jack.
Yeah, after what happened. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
so Jack will be in trouble.
Oh my God! Of course. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, I tried like 3 times.
Oh my God! Well, I'm glad you got through.
Me too. Thanks for letting me explain.
Yeah, of course. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, so with the time that we have left remaining, let's see. So we kind of talked about pretty much all the major things today, except let's touch on Nick and Sharron really fast, and then we'll get to our law moment. So, first of all, okay, so Nick and Sharron, there was that big fundraising dinner, and Sharron helps Nick get ready for it, and she kind of expected she was going to go, and then Nick didn't invite her, so she got mad, and eventually basically said that without telling Nick why, she ends up basically just asking him that, to find another place to live. Finally, Nick puts 2 and 2 together after the help of Mariah, and Nick realizes that she was mad about it, and that's why she was asking him to move out, not because she actually meant it. So, as I was watching this with my husband, when Nick and Sharron finally confront each other and they start talking, basically my husband goes, "They're gonna kiss, aren't they?" And I was like, what? I don't know, maybe. And then they started kissing each other. I was very happy because I wanted Nick and Sharron to kiss each other since I started watching the show. So, that being said, we'll end on a happy note before we get to our law moment. Okay, so as I've been saying, I have 2 law moments. We'll talk about the slow-mo law moment in a moment because that has a different category that goes along with this. So, law moment number 1, when JT walks out of the office in the very beginning, and Victor's standing there with a drink in his hand, staring at him and basically saying, "What are you doing here?" And just the way that he was talking to him with the accent. This is toward the, earlier part of the week. It was just hilarious how Victor was talking to JT. Now, law moment of the entire show. I have never done this before. We've been talking about this all episode today. My law moment of the entire time that I've been watching Y&R is Victor falling backward in a slow-mo moment, so slow that it looked like he was doing the backstroke except while standing up and falling backward. That is my law moment of the entire show. That's why I didn't want to say law moment, because it was just not just a law moment. It is the moment I laughed the loudest and the longest was that slow-mo moment that I guess is something that they did with House of Cards. I have not watched House of Cards, so I don't know. But I do know that moment made me laugh, and it is definitely my favorite. So, before we wrap up for today, I'm just going to read some last-minute comments. We have Miss Bubbles. Lily could have found his ex-girlfriend, Roxanne, who was there before he got rich. And for those who remember, I think Roxanne was pregnant before she broke up with Devon. Bring her back with his baby. Ah, Miss Bubbles, see? It's not that hard. That would have been much more plausible than her calling and canceling an appointment than that Hillary can just go and rebook. Let's see. What else do we have here? Tiffany says Sharron was acting like a disgruntled teenager again. Aaron, Roxy walked in on Devon cheating with his Aunt Tyra. Okay, so that might not happen again. Miss Bubbles, remember Roxanne had made a huge purchase and he questioned her motives, and they got into an argument and broke up. Before that argument, she told him she had something important to tell him. Oh, interesting. Okay, so on that note, I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you all for joining, especially those who called in and everyone in the chat. You are all my co-hosts. My name is Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Rach Goodman, or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman. Also, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and go over to our Facebook page, which is at Restless Rap. And if you leave a comment, follow, I will always read your comments, but I also post the link to the show every week there, so you won't miss out and you'll get to catch it every week, especially if you like hearing about, if you want to hear about what happens to Victor next week, join us next week. So thank you guys again. Have a great week, and we will catch you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.